Okay, tell me you're ovulating without telling me you're ovulating. That is what we're getting into in today's episode. Welcome back to the Mind Your Hormones podcast. I'm so excited to talk about this because, of course, I talk about so much on this podcast that, when you're leading up to ovulation, you're going to see that raw egg white consistency cervical mucus, or you should, quote unquote, should, if your hormones are balanced out. Like, we want to see that raw egg white consistency cervical mucus, literally stretchy, slippery. Like, if you know, you wipe, it slips. Like, you understand what I'm talking about. You want to see that leading up to ovulation because cervical mucus is literally required for you to get pregnant. You cannot get pregnant without cervical mucus because cervical mucus is the reason how sperm stays alive inside your body. It can't stay alive unless you have cervical mucus because it creates the perfect pH environment for sperm to actually stay alive. It's what carries the sperm to the egg. It filters out abnormal sperm, like it keeps sperm alive for up to 5 days. You can have sex on a Monday, ovulate on Thursday, ovulate on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you can still get pregnant. So yes, that's needed. And yes, that is a clear sign that you're going to ovulate. However, there are other physical signs that your body will give you when you are approaching ovulation that you could look out for, especially if you are someone who maybe has slower amounts of cervical mucus production, especially if you're on birth control. This can happen a lot where your cervical mucus is not really optimal where we want it to be. Of course, we want that to increase. Working on the systems in your body that affect all your hormones is how you do that, not just a fertility tea that's going to help increase your lube. I almost said your cervical mucus. But that's another conversation. But today I really want to talk to you about the other ways, that other signs your body will give you to let you know that you're ovulating. And I was thinking about this because I'm currently ovulating, and I forget what the example was. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. So it's like, I'll remember, but I don't. But something was happening and I was like, oh, tell me you're ovulating without telling me you're ovulating, Corinne, because something happened that would normally annoy the shit out of me. And I was just laughing, I just didn't care. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm definitely in my ovulation phase. So I came up with all these S words for you to remember. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. So the 5 S's for you to remember to look out for these things so you know that you are approaching ovulation. This is going to be helpful too if you're someone where your cycle is irregular and you don't ever really know when it's coming, and or you haven't gotten your cycle in a really long time and you're you won't confirm ovulation until after, where your basal body temperature will actually rise, but you want to know when you're approaching it. These are things that you can look out for. So the first one is slippery, right? Which we talked about. Slippery cervical mucus, slippery, stretchy, raw egg white consistency. If you know, it literally looks like a raw egg white. You could stretch it in your fingers. It's very slippery. Some of my clients will describe it as wet. So that could be another way that you might describe it. But it's in your underwear. It's also on your toilet paper when you're wiping. Literally your toilet paper should slip. Like truly, that's really what it's like. You could pick it up. You could stretch it in between your fingers. That is a slippery cervical mucus. And that is sign number 1. And we talk about it all the time on the podcast, so I don't even need to go into it. If you're new here, I'm so happy you're here. We'll link some podcast episodes below where we talk about cervical mucus, but that is the number 1 sign. And when you see cervical mucus, if you are trying to conceive, that is when you want to have sex because that is when you're fertile. If you do not want to get pregnant, wrap that shit up or just do not have sex when you see that raw egg white consistency cervical mucus because you're fertile as fuck, okay? So that's number 1, the slippery. The second one is sexy. You feel sexy. You are more in the mood to have sex. You're just more your testosterone levels increase around ovulation to increase your sex drive. It's very intentional because your body's like, oh, she could get pregnant right now. So let's increase that sex drive so she actually wants to have sex. Now, there's so many disclaimers with this because if you have experienced any trauma, whether it's sexual trauma, if you are in a partnership where you don't feel safe in that area, if you're going through a lot of chronic stress or grief, you've been trying to conceive for a really long time, you might not have that sex drive like you used to. And that, of course, could be an emotional and mental thing, not just a hormonal thing, right? You could have testosterone levels where they need to be. You could be approaching ovulation. You could actually confirm ovulation, and you still might not feel sexy and have that sex drive because you have been trying for a really long time, or you're in grief right now, or you're experiencing trauma, or you're in a just bad partnership or whatever it is, right? So that is a caveat to this. But when we're talking about just baseline, things that you will feel when you're approaching ovulation. Also, if you're on birth control for a while, this could also impact your sex drive. When you're on birth control, first of all, you have no sex drive, and that's intentional because it completely totally zaps your testosterone. You like don't have any, which is why people think it heals your acne. It doesn't heal your acne. It just reduces your testosterone so much that your acne goes away. But then when you get off it, it comes rushing back. So anyway, that's a whole other topic. But for the point of this episode of just like other things that you could notice in yourself when you are approaching ovulation is that sexy, right? You feel sexy, you want to have sex more, your sex drive is increased, like that's the vibe, okay? So that's number 2 is sexy. That's the second S. The third S is social. You want to be more social. I always know when I'm approaching ovulation because I find myself like when I'm driving, when I'm doing something, like, oh, let me call this friend, let me call my mom, and I'm not usually always like that. Like I like to take my walks in silence or listen to a podcast or listen to music or just like chill with what I'm doing. But I'll notice like, oh, I just want to talk. Well, I mean, you're probably like, whoa, Corinne, you want to talk? That's a shocker. You have a podcast episode and you literally don't stop talking, which yes, obviously I like to talk, but in my like, not working mode, I do generally like to talk, but there are times where I'm just like, no, like I'm in the car, like I don't feel like talking. But when I'm ovulating, I'm so much more social and I want to do more. And these things come more easily to me. Recording podcasts, recording reels, TikToks, whatever. Like it comes more easily. I could do it so much more quickly. I love doing it in my ovulation phase. It's just your brain literally changes throughout your cycle. So based on where your hormone levels are at, your brain actually changes. So when you're ovulating, because your estrogen is increasing, because your testosterone is increasing, you don't have progesterone on the scene yet, your brain is literally fired for like connection, for being social and like wanting to be out there. So like if you find yourself being like, oh, let's plan this, like I want to go out here, just be mindful that you're not planning too much stuff in your luteal phase because that's going to shift real quick once you get your luteal phase and you're going to be like, shit, why did I plan all this stuff when I was ovulating? I don't want to do any of this now. Like I don't want to go out anymore. So be intentional about how you're planning social outings. This could be so helpful for you, especially if you're more introverted. But like if you want to be social and go out there and like connect with people or whatever, ideally plan, of course you can't always, but like ideally plan around your ovulation phase because you're just going to enjoy it so much more. And if you notice yourself wanting to talk more, wanting to call more friends, like wanting to be more social, wanting to go out, date nights or whatever, like some of you who are extroverted will want this all the time. But if you aren't always and you notice yourself wanting this more, that's another sign that you are approaching ovulation. You just like to be more social, be more out there, talking more. Like that's just a very clear sign that your hormone levels are where they need to be and that we're approaching ovulation, right? And again, if your hormones are not balanced right now, you might not experience these things leading up to ovulation. But if they are, and this is the like end goal, right, where we want to get, these are things that you're going to notice, okay? And you might not notice all of these, but you might notice some of them. So I'm giving you 5 of them, and it's like, it'll be fun for you next cycle. Maybe you're around ovulation now, so you could figure it out, or maybe you're ovulating right now, and you're like, yes, this is exactly how I'm feeling. Or you're in your luteal phase, and you're like, damn, I'm not feeling this right now. Like, it's so different. It's so crazy to see how much our moods and our energy and just everything, our desires change from week to week, from phase to phase, because our hormone levels are changing. It's very, very normal and it's good. Like that's healthy. It should be doing that. So anyway, the third S is social. Okay. The fourth S I did is shining. I mean, I couldn't think of another S word, but it's like you're literally glowing. That's really the word I wanted to use, but I'm like, let me just stick with the S's. Your skin is glowing. You literally look in the mirror and you feel prettier. Like there's studies that have been shown that because your estrogen levels are higher, you actually look prettier. Like you are, and like you're more magnetic. People like will look at pictures of you. They did like studies when like looking at someone when they were ovulating versus their luteal phase, and they were more attracted to the person who was ovulating because of where your hormone levels are at. You're just emulating that like glow, that shine, that like, and you feel better about yourself. Like you're looking at me, you're like, yeah, I'm looking good today. Like you feel better in your body, you feel better in your skin. Like you just feel more glowy and like like you're just literally shining from the inside out. And again, that's because of where your hormone levels are at. And it makes sense because you can get pregnant. So it's like, oh, let's make her shine. Let's make her glowy. Let's have her like perceived more attractive. Like literally this is how it is. And I mean, because obviously I do this work and I know like where my hormone levels are at and the different like thing, it is so true for me of like, I could be wearing the exact same thing, makeup exact same, hair exact same way in my ovulation phase and then in my late luteal phase. And I'm like, I look like fucking garbage, dumpster fire truck right now. And then during ovulation, I'm like, oh, I'm killing it today. Like it is such a different feeling. So that's the fourth S, shining. Like you literally are glowing, you feel better in your body, you're feeling yourself more, you just like are like glowing. Like that's like just, you just feel better about yourself. So that's the fourth S, is shining. And then I had to chat GPT the last one because I'm like, I don't know a word. I literally put in there like, what's an S word that means like you just care less, you don't give a shit as much, like you have rose colored glasses on. And they gave me some crazy S word that I never heard of. I was like, I can't even pronounce this. And they gave me other options, which is what we went with. The fifth one, serene. You feel more serene about things because when you're ovulating and your estrogen levels are super high, when your estrogen levels are high, like, and appropriately high, right? They're not too high. They're where they're supposed to be because they're increasing so that it could produce more estrogen. Could produce more cervical mucus, could help you actually ovulate. Like that's where it's meant to be. You have rose colored glasses on. So things that normally annoy you, you just don't care. You're like, oh, I'm good. Like, I don't care. I'm seeing the world with rose colored glasses on. Everything is great. You're more positive. You're more easily able to get into that belief energy. You are more, you just don't give a shit as much. Like you're just don't like you care about things, of course, but like you don't have as much negative charge and as much like triggers coming off because you're just in a more naturally more positive state. And again, another caveat to this, if you're going through grief, if you're going through a really hard time, if you've maybe experienced depression and things like that, this might not be as evident for you. But if you don't experience these things, you will likely notice that you're in better moods. You just are more serene. You're in better moods around this time of your cycle. And it's easier for you to, especially maybe if you are trying to conceive, it's easier for you to get into that belief state of like, yes, this is going to happen. I'm feeling really good about it. Da, da, da. Versus when you're in your luteal phase, that might be a lot harder for you to get to that place. Or things that maybe annoy you about your partner don't really annoy you as much when you're ovulating, like as it does when you're in your luteal phase. Like this is very, very real. So pay attention to it. And I think I might do a whole nother podcast episode on this, about like really capitalizing on the ovulation phase to tap into that manifestation visualization of having your baby and that real belief in it, because it's so much easier for you to tap into it now than it is during your 2-week wait, during your luteal phase. Like it's much harder to get to that place. So that's what the fifth S is just being more serene and like just, like caring less about things and being more positive and feeling better and just being in a better mood without any quote unquote reason to, right? So those are your 5 S's: slippery, sexy, social, shining, and serene. So try and remember these. See if you're noticing any of them. Maybe you notice all of them. Maybe you notice one of them. But you likely will notice a lot of these, right? Especially if you're paying attention. And if you're someone who you like are just like learning about the different phases and you never really paid attention, pay attention next cycle, right? Write it down in your notes app, like the different, S's: slippery, sexy, social, shining, serene, and just like see which ones you notice. And it's just so cool to be like, oh, okay, I'm feeling like this. Oh, maybe I'm approaching ovulation. And like, instead of just focusing on the cervical mucus, which obviously, yes, please focus on the cervical mucus. You need that. But it's just cool to know also and to like capitalize on those things during that ovulation phase as much as you can. And just notice the signs that your body is giving you, because you might notice the social aspect, feeling sexy, feeling glowy and shining, feeling more serene. Like you might notice these things before you see your cervical mucus, right? So we can let you know like, hey, it's coming, and the more that you do this month after month, the more you're going to get to understand your pattern of how many days of cervical mucus you see, of what of these signs that you maybe notice. But tell me you're ovulating without telling me you're ovulating. I want you to DM me on Instagram and let me know if you experience any of these and which ones you were like, oh my God, this was literally me this month, or I'm just totally realizing this now. Like I want to hear about it. So thank you so much as always for being here. I'm so grateful for you. And if you are someone right now who maybe you are actively trying to conceive and you have been for months or years, or maybe you're preparing to try and conceive and you want your step-by-step plan of exactly what to do, and you're tired of just like finding all these different random things all over either podcasts or TikTok or social media or whatever, check out the Mind Your Hormones method. I'm literally going to talk about this every single episode because I believe in it so, so much. And the results that come out of it are absolutely, I don't even want to say they're absolutely insane, because I'm like, yeah, of course, obviously that's what's going to happen once you go through this. But I literally created it so you don't have to do this on your own anymore. And I want you to feel more confident and more peaceful and more excited about your journey, because you know the actions that you're taking or actually matter and they're working on a cellular level, and that you're doing things and you're spending your time, energy, money, and capacity doing things that are changing your fertility and your overall health, like on a cellular level at the root cause, instead of doing shit that doesn't actually matter. So I'll always put the link for that in the show notes. You can use code podcast for 10% off. But let me know if you're slipping, you're sexy, you're social, you're shining, you're serene. Like, keep me posted. I love you so much. Thank you as always for being here, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.